you, Reverend David, for that beautiful meditation. We've had many people come through and learn our teachings in this chapel, and they've done really well. A lot of people have moved on, a lot of people have stayed. You know, David has this whole thing about, you know, a quarter goes or a third goes, a third stays, and, you know, we have amazing people that come through here, and they really grasp what's going on, and Reverend Marsha is just an amazing result of that, and we get to keep her. She stays. And so she's going to be our speaker today.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Angie, and thank you, Reverend David, for that meditation. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Oh, I have to kind of come back. That meditation was wonderful. The topic for today is imagination. And imagination is one of our 12 mind powers. It's the power of the third eye, and it's where ideas and creativity comes from. When I was a very little girl, I saw an angel come in the house very late one night, and I didn't know it was an angel. I thought it was the tooth fairy because, yeah, I know. My brother was at an age when he was losing teeth, and our parents would always tell him to put the tooth under his pillow for the tooth fairy. So when I saw this beautiful entity floating through our house in the middle of the night, I figured, well, it must be the tooth fairy. So when I saw her, I was in my bed, and I thought it was kind of funny because you're not supposed to see the tooth fairy. So I kept myself from giggling, and I stayed very, very still so that she wouldn't think that I saw her. And I saw her go in my parents' room and then back down the hallway, and then she was gone. And in the morning at breakfast, I told my family that the tooth fairy came last night, but there weren't any teeth under any pillows, and so she left. That's what everybody did. They laughed, and they told me that it was only a dream. And they said it wasn't real. And I knew what I saw. And I know to this day that I was wide awake. I know what I saw. I told my parents that I was awake, and it couldn't have been a dream, but they insisted that it was my imagination that made me think that it was real. It was only my imagination. And there were other things that happened when I was small, and I was always told that's just your imagination. So I learned not to tell. I learned to try to conform to what I was supposed to be like. I tried to blend in with what my reactions were supposed to be. And that scenario isn't unique only to me. I've had a number of people tell me that they've had similar experiences or many other kinds of experiences. So during formative years, when we're learning language and how to define words and how to define life, we're sometimes told to ignore our imagination. So then you fast forward to college or a career, and when creativity is needed, what do we hear? Just use your imagination. Use your imagination to be creative. So no matter what the definition of imagination is that you've been exposed to, the mind power of imagination is alive and active within you. You are that divine creating energy within you, always available and always active within you. How you recognize it and utilize it is up to you. What we learn at this chapel are metaphysical principles. We are body, mind, and spirit in a divine oneness package. The laws of the universes are working within us all the time, always, always in divine order. And if you understand the order and you know what tools you have to work with, then you empower yourself with a knowing that you are the creator of your life. And you can move forward a step at a time with awareness of what you're creating today. You have goals to work with: happiness, health, and wealth. But if those don't sound good to you, then how about the opposite? Would you want to have goals of sadness, ill health, and lack? Well, okay, so let's just stick with goals of happiness, health, and the wealth that is going to sustain our happiness and health. You also have tools to work with. You have, number one, you have your thoughts. Become aware of what's constantly going through your mind. If your thoughts are pretty consistent with your goals, happiness, health, and wealth, then keep it up. If your thoughts are pretty consistently unhappy, unhealthy, or focused on lack, then create some affirmations for yourself. When you catch yourself focusing on the opposite of happiness, health, and wealth, have a list of positive affirmations to say at least 10 times each while focusing on your breath to relax you. It feels good. It feels a whole lot better than the opposite. The second tool that you have are your words. Are your words consistent with your goals? How do you speak to others? I know of a young couple that thought that it was funny to hear their small son using foul language, the language that he hears at home. They thought that it was funny to hear those kind of words coming from a sweet, innocent little child. And that sweet, innocent little child is learning what has become acceptable language in his home and will soon be taking that language to school. And the parents are going to wonder why he's always in trouble, or why other parents won't allow their children to play with him. Use happy, healthy words. Use words that are of high value, no matter who you're around. The third tool is action. Action is created through the people, the places, and the things that are in our lives. Are you around people that think, speak, and act with goals that are similar to your own? Do you go to happy and healthy places? And things, sometimes we don't talk about the things in our life with respect to our goals. But is that thing that you've brought into your life contributing to goals of happiness, health, and wealth? I remember seeing someone that I knew with a bumper sticker on a really, really expensive vehicle that they couldn't afford. And it said, "My wealth is in heaven." And somehow that made sense to them. They would say, God will provide. We know as metaphysicians that we're not separate from God. God is within us. It's up to us to use our imagination along with all of our other mind powers to make decisions that are consistent with our goals. Buying things that we can't afford isn't consistent with happiness, health, and sustaining the wealth that is happy and healthy. Value the imagination within you. Not all things are visible on a physical level. You are an infinite well of information and wisdom. Divine creation is within you and within your imagination. You are creating your life day by day, moment by moment. Choose to create with love, compassion, peace, and harmony, and the world becomes more loving, compassionate, peaceful, and harmonious. Thoughts become words. Words become action. Action moves imagination from the invisible to the visible. create the best within you. Focus on your goals. Pay attention to the ideas that you have. And then take the steps that are necessary to create it. World records that we have today are way beyond world records of many years ago. As soon as someone sees that the unimaginable is actually imaginable, then more and more people believe that success is within reach. When I speak here at the chapel, I'm always working on coming up with stories from my own life that have inspired me in some kind of a way. And this week, I really wanted to share something more with you. And what I tell you now is what I've been working on for myself recently. And these metaphysical principles that we talk about and study here are much, much more than just concepts to me. They're a way of living. They're a way of breathing. They're words that seem really simple, and yet they're the keys to creation. What you imagine within you is powerful beyond measure. What you imagine can heal or hurt. For the past several years or so, we in this country have been exposed to political rhetoric that is beyond anything that I remember having experienced before. And as a chapel, we absolutely do not promote political agendas, and I'm not going to do that. But what I do want to say is that if you're disturbed by things that you hear or see on the news or hear or see while you're out and about among the people, places, and things in your life, don't forget the principles that are taught here at this chapel. You can use your mind power of imagination to create images of compassion, images of peace, images of harmony for all people in all situations. Use your breath to relax yourself and visualize peace, harmony, compassion for yourself and for others. At times that I've been unable to get to sleep because I have a nagging feeling keeping me awake, I like to take a few deep breaths and start saying, I am at peace within myself, and I am at peace with others. And I will say it dozens of times until I feel myself really becoming more relaxed and peaceful and able to fall asleep. There have been times that I've visualized people across the planet all holding hands and singing and feeling loving care for one another. I see them nurturing one another and working together in harmony. Use your mind power of imagination for creating what you want for yourself, for our country and our planet and beyond. Even if you don't believe me when I say that you're a powerful creator, when you do just that, well, think about how much better those imaginings are rather than imagining the opposite. It just feels good to create, to imagine a world of love, compassion, peace, and harmony. And, by the way, the tooth fairy that I saw so many years ago when I was about 5, most of my life I had asked the question within myself, who was that tooth fairy? Who was that one that I saw? And just days before my father made his transition, and this has been quite a few years ago, I was sitting with him by myself, and my other family members had left the room. And my dad looked at me and he said, I'm not afraid to die. So I asked him, I said, that's good, Dad. And can you tell me why? And he said that when he was about 9 years old, he was playing in a creek and somehow got pulled under the water. And he had gotten stuck in the mud. And he was by himself and he was drowning. And he saw a light and there was an angel beckoning to him. And he showed me, he said the angel was going like this. And then the angel held up her hand and waved goodbye to him, sending him back. And my dad said he opened his eyes and he was on the bank on the creek. And nobody else was around. He only knew that he couldn't have gotten out of that creek on his own. He never told anybody. My dad had lung problems all of his life, and nobody knew why. He had part of a lung removed when I was about 5 years old, very near the time when I saw the tooth fairy come in our house and go to my parents' bedroom. The tooth fairy I saw was my dad's angel watching over him, and he was able to validate my experience before he left this earth plane. Believe in yourself. Your imagination is a powerful force working within you. Recognize it and work with it. All creation started with an idea. Value the idea that is you. You are an amazing creation. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Marsha.